Welcome to No Nonsense Guy SA.
Ahoy, massacres, houses, bushfighters, and bennets, and all the crazy folk that kind of fit in between all of that. Pardon me. Always happens. Well, welcome back to the No Nonsense Guy SA, where we remove the spin, keep the receipts, and occasionally, hopefully, make a politician sweat. Today we answer the simple question everyone talks about, but few people can actually prove in public. It's going to create a hornet's nest. Who actually pays income tax in South Africa? And who pays most of it? So I see everyone formulating their opinions already. We'll break those payments down by the government's population groups, which are officially black, coloured, Indian, Asian and white, with a clear labelled estimate, okay? There's my Yorkies. Yeah, go catch some tootsies. Okay, hey, finally, I'll explain how the type of taxpayer leaving our shores in recent years changes things for the average man on the street. No feelings harmed, just facts. Okay, so firstly, the headline. SARS tax statistics show that about 6.65 million individual taxpayers had been assessed for the 2023 tax year, okay? And that's a SARS analysis of assessments as at 9 September last year. So that's pretty recent. Those assessed taxpayers reportedly aggregated taxable income of about 2.3 trillion randes, and a total tax liability of roughly 499.9 billion, call it 500 billion, given an average effective tax paid per assessed taxpayer, right? So this is just a simple dividing by the amount of taxpayers. So each one of us, I include myself, pays about 75,000 Rand per annum. Now I see a lot of you jumping up and down saying, dude, I pay that in a month. Or I pay 40,000 Rand a month. Where does 75 per annum? So you'll see where it comes from as we go on, okay? But those are SARS numbers, okay? The ones that you can't shout down with any opinion. And you can go and research that and find it for yourself at SARS. Put another way, basically, okay? Out of a population of around 63.02 million, okay, that's mid-year 2024, the assessed income tax crowd is only about, guess, 1 in 10 people. 1 in 10. That's not a national mass movement of tax patriots by any level or yardstick. It's a relatively small core of people who get PAYE'd or file returns and sit in a SARS assessed column at the end of the year. The PIT register, so I'm going to start using PIT, that's personal income tax, right? The PIT register itself is much larger though. The SARS register had about 27.1 million names on it by March 24. But only a subset actually get assessed and pay material PIT in a year. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Okay? So who funds the country? Not everyone. No. Tax receipts are very concentrated. SARS shows that assessed taxpayers, and within that, higher income earners, shoulder a disproportionate share of personal income tax. In practice, a relatively small fraction of taxpayers, well, the high earners, produce a large chunk or slice of personal income tax revenue. So you know the old classic 80-20 style concentration? Except it's usually a little bit sharper than that. Now, the political hot potato. How does this break down by population group? I mean black, colored, Indian, Asian, or white, okay? But first, a little caveat, okay, up front. SARS does not publish a simple race-by-race official split of tax paid by race in its public tables, okay? I don't know why they don't, because they seem so engrossed in race in every other department. Why not there? Well, you come to your own conclusions with regards to that. So, any exact sounding race percentages that you've seen floating around social media are literally guesses, unless backed by some data, okay? That said, we can produce a transparent, documented estimate by combining the best available official inputs, population shares, Stats SA household incomes, and of course, SARS totals. I'll show you the method and the result and label every single assumption. So, here's a short version of the estimate, okay? We use the SARS assessed taxpayers, okay, which is 6.65 million, SARS aggregate taxable income of 2.3 trillion, and the average tax liability, which is that just short of 500 billion, together with Stats SA's population shares and average household incomes from the IES, that's 22 and 23, we estimated the tax share by population group as follows. Estimated tax share, okay, white, 53.7% of personal income tax paid, black, 27.5%, coloured 9.4%, and Indians / Asians 7.4%. So those are our best estimates using the official inputs and an explicit set of assumptions, which we've detailed below. Two important takeaways. Number one, white taxpayers, despite being a small fraction of the total population account, are a very large share of personal income taxpayers. And number two, because of income concentration, large numbers of people do not translate into equivalent shares of the tax revenue, unfortunately. Let me make that more visceral. The model gives average annual tax paid per assessed taxpayer by group roughly as the whites, 165,000 Rand per assessed taxpayer. Indians / Asians, 102,000. Coloreds, 64,000. Masakinas and the black folk, 35,000 Rand per annum. Compare those overall average per assessed taxpayer of about 75,000 Rand. Remember, that's if we just average everything out. If you're above that line, Mensa, if you're above that line, if you pay more than 75,000 Rand a year in tax, okay, you're considered in the gravy zone. So think about that. I mean, even if you're paying 20,000 Rand a month only, you know, that's 240,000 Rand a year. Even 10,000 Rand a month, you're considered in the gravy zone. That's wealthy. If you're below, okay, the government is more likely to fund you, okay, through VAT on your bread than through personal income receipts. Interesting, right? Okay, so how were these numbers made? I'm showing my work because that's what grown-up debates require. So, inputs, okay, which are official. SARS tax stats, okay, assessed taxpayers, 6.65 million. Aggregated taxable income, 2.3 trillion. Tax liability, 499.9 billion. Average tax rate, 21.3%. You can find this information at the South African Revenue Service, okay? Then Stats SA, mid-year population, 2024, like I said, total 63.02 million. Okay. Population shares by group. Blacks make up 81.7% of our nation. Masakinis, 8.5%. Indian Asian, only 2.6%. And white, also a paltry, 7.2%. Okay. That you can also find at Stats South Africa. Stats SA Income and Expenditure Survey 22-23, average household incomes by population group, black 143 odd thousand, coloured 260,000, Indian stroke Asians 417,000, and that little 7.2% white 676,000. National household average, okay, so again, we divide everything by the population, it's 204 odd thousand. These values show the income skew that actually drives the tax concentration. And again, Stats South Africa. Okay, so our model logic and or assumptions. We assume here that relative taxable incomes across population groups scale roughly with average household incomes, or a household income proxy per taxpayer income. Okay, that's a common transparent proxy when direct race tagged taxpayer data doesn't exist. Again, Stats SA. Okay, we assume the number of assessed taxpayers in each group is proportional to the group's share of the adult population pool, adjusted for relative household income. In other words, groups with higher average income are more likely to contain assessed taxpayers. This is explicit and it's replicable, okay? We then solve the scale factor so that the sum of the estimated taxable income across groups equals SARS reported 2.3 trillion aggregate taxable income. Finally, we apply SARS average effective tax rate of 21.3% to get a tax liability by group, okay? All intermediate steps are in the calculation sheet that I will send you if you want. Comment, and I'll send you. It's a little spreadsheet. It's not very difficult, okay? So the result is a model-based estimate, okay? Not an official racial accounting by SARS. If you change the proxy, for example, let's use employment rates or even age structure instead of household income, the allocation moves a little bit. But the broad story stays. Higher income, historically advantaged groups, bear a disproportionate share of personal income tax and have most of their working lives. So, let's get into this last little section, okay? Last part. Who's been leaving and does it matter? Well, over the past 5 years, the headline movement has been quite complex. The stock of South Africans abroad is largely historically hundreds of thousands. And research and surveys show that the South Africans most likely to consider or actually emigrate are the younger, educated, and relatively well off. The very category, okay, that's likely to be offer formal employment, get a higher income. And Stats SA and migration studies describe both long-run immigration of skilled workers and new flows in our surveys, okay? They show the immigrant-minded are disproportionately educated and wealthier. That's the brain drain pattern that everyone talks about, guys. So, what is the net effect on the man on the street? Well, 2 quick points. Number 1, what's the fiscal impact? Well, it's a modest outflow of high-income taxpayers. It removes a lot of revenue. And that same number of lower-income people, because, remember, personal income tax is concentrated, stay on the ground. If enough higher earners leave, the government will have to do one of two things. It either has to raise indirect taxes, which is like VAT and levies and that kind of stuff, which hits the poor, should I say, harder. Or the other thing is they need to cut services. It's simple arithmetic. What do you think they're doing at the moment? Well, I'll give you a hint. The VAT increase didn't go through. And lots of people are up in arms about that thing we call service delivery. Then number two, the labor market and services impact. Okay, so this is probably worse because losing skilled workers also reduces productive capacity. So, there you're looking like health, tech, finance. Okay, which can slow growth and job creation. Again, hurting the average person who needs jobs or stable services. Some immigrants send remittances or return later, granted, which softens the blow. But don't pretend migration alone solves deep structural unemployment. So let's recap. Only about 6.65 million people, okay, were assessed taxpayers for the 2023 tax year. Okay, remember our population is close to 70. 6.65. It's 10.5%, by the way, of the population who were assessed taxpayers. SARS reports 2.3 trillion taxable income and a 500 billion rand tax liability. Using Stats SA household incomes and population, it builds into a transparent estimate. We find, here's the thing, that white taxpayers, a small share of the population, by the way, contribute more than half of personal income tax. Don't shoot the messenger, please. While black households, larger in number, pay a smaller share per taxpayer because of lower average incomes. Be that what it may, be it from wherever, these are the facts. And we just use facts, okay? The recent trend of wealthier skilled immigrants leaving makes that concentration riskier for the average person because losing a few high taxpayers forces governments to make unpopular choices. So, the next time someone says taxes are unfair, ask them which kind of unfairness are they alluding to. The one where a tiny cohort pays most of the bill? Those frogs that are being slowly boiled? Slowly, we've been boiling? Or the one where politicians keep promising services while trimming the revenue tree? Both matter, by the way, but only one gets the headlines. Guess which one? Okay. So remember, guys, if you want that spreadsheet that produced today's table, so that you can poke the assumptions yourself, tell me. I'll email it to you, neat, labeled, shame-free. No spin, no nonsense, just the facts and all the data. Okay? So, if you're angry with this information, good. The system has reasons to be annoying. If you're motivated, even better. Okay? Ask your member of parliament, your councillor, whoever, for a smarter labor policy. Okay? The labor policy enforcement that nets the real tax dodgers and incentives that grow formal employment. Like scrapping BEE, for instance. Not just press releases and pie charts. Amagwede. And if you're a high earner thinking of packing up, remember, you're not just leaving a country. You're taking a disproportionate slice of tax revenue with you. Shock. Horror. Well, until next time, this has been Warren Herald. Again, your very own no-nonsense guy SA, who basically strips all the bullshit off the stories and delivers facts and logical opinions Until next time, remember to use that marvelous brain that the good Lord gave you. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye now.